I think that the intent is such an important part of that. If you intend to develop a relationship, and the languaging that I use in my own head is, how can I become this person's trusted real estate advisor?
What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Become a Local Leader. My name is Grant Finley-Shuris, and on today's show, we have Rob Hundley, a local real estate expert in Gilbert, Arizona, and one of the authors in the new real estate business book, Becoming a Local Leader, which features 21 stories from top producing local agents who, through their story, share their strategies and their tactics on how to build a business through relationships and referrals in a specific geographic area. And one of the things you're going to see as a theme in all the chapters of the book is the idea that all these agents value relationships. They don't just talk about it, they really do value it, and therefore they spend time and money building new ones and nurturing them and giving value to the people who live and work in their area, because they know if they do that first, it will come back to them in business through referrals and through, come list me's and come buy with me. So it's this principle of giving value and the value of relationships, and then how to actually talk the talk and walk the walk around relationships that we're going to talk about today with Rob. So I want to thank you, Rob, for being a part of the book and being on today's show.
Thanks, Grant. It is great to be here.
Now, we worked together and we came up with this project to create this book, Becoming a Local Leader, so we could share some messages with agents out there to hopefully elevate the standard of agents, the way agents build their business, to help them become more respected and relevant in the industry. And so you wanted to be a part of it. You had a chapter. And when you wrote that chapter, you had a message that you were going to try to convey to agents out there. So if you were to sum up what that main message is, what would that be?
Well, you touched on it quite a bit in the intro, and that is relationships and how we go about valuing, putting the work in, getting the benefit out of those relationships. I like to think of them as sort of twofold. There's the horizontal relationships, the connections that I have with other professionals. That's huge. So often, I think one of the first things I look at are the relationships that I have with other agents. So often we have this sort of competitive, or they're on one side and I'm on the other. At the end of the day, I really look at it as, yes, I understand that and I value that, but I also look at it and say, yeah, but we're at the end of the day, we're just trying to get the best deal for everybody, create a win-win. So you've got that. You've got the relationships with, say, the other professionals, lenders, title companies, inspectors, all the different vendors. I think, I don't know if you're going to touch on that in a little bit, but for me, some of the most important relationships that I have in real estate is having a plumber, having an electrician, having an HVAC person that I can call, and when they pick up the phone and see that it's me, that there's hopefully a smile on their face. That hey, what's Rob need now? What's going on? How can I help? How can we work together? And then the other part of relationships, though, are the other ones, and I think the ones that we spend probably the most time cultivating, and that's the vertical. That's the clients, and how do we create not just a transaction, but a relationship? How do we become their trusted real estate advisor, somebody that can really help them on the very specific details of their own deal, but then down the road, how can they refer us with a sense of, wow, let me show you my real estate person. They are phenomenal they're fantastic. And just being able to then nurture and develop those relationships as well. So that's really what I'm trying to say. I was going to say in a nutshell, but this doesn't seem like quite a. At least it's an awfully big nutshell.
Well, you wrote in the book and you summed it, the power of relationships. And I think because a lot of people, when they get into real estate, it's not like their parents did it, or sometimes they don't have friends or family who have done it, who have showed them the way. They just hear about the industry, hear that it might be good for them, and they kind of just get into it. So if you were to speak to, all the new agents that maybe you years ago when you got into real estate, what are some of the surprising benefits of those horizontal relationships? So there's a couple of things you touched on. And the first one to touch on is these horizontal relationships you talked about. So these other professionals, home service professionals, you got personal care, personal service professionals, you got real estate professionals, finance professionals. And I think when people don't put enough time and money into relationships, it's because they maybe don't know how they might be beneficial, how they might be used, what value does come from that. Maybe because it's not intuitive to think about the value that comes from these professionals. So from your experiences, what has been some of the surprising value that's come from those relationships that you wish you knew when you started, because maybe you would have got started faster and spent more time, earlier on building and nurturing those relationships?
Well, first of all, I think, if I were to be talking to somebody starting out, I would say, expect to be surprised. Expect to have some of those connections yield fruits that you had no idea that at the time. There's that old adage, giver's gain. And for me, that cultivating of relationships that we're talking about is really about, how can I help you? How can I help your business grow? How can I support you in what you're doing? And when you do that, the return on that, even though at the time you think, when is this home inspector is never gonna refer anybody to me. And then out of the blue, you get a call from somebody and they say, "Oh yeah, Sharon spoke so highly of you, and we were really needed an agent, and and it was weird because we were in the checkout line together, and I kept thinking, boy, she looks kind of familiar." It's like, "Oh yeah, you did do a home inspection for me a couple of years ago." You wouldn't expect to get something out of a conversation in a grocery store checkout line, but it happens. And so expect it, or maybe don't expect it, but don't be surprised when you get surprised.
Yeah, I think I've said to agents, I remember doing this one. I had this one agent was going out to, he had an interview with this dog walker, and he said, "Grant, like, I had this interview with this dog walker. I kind of don't want to go. She's like in her 70s or 80s. She's probably not going to move. She probably doesn't know anyone. Like, should I really go? Like, is it a good use of my time? Should I try to find some other professions?" And I said, the fact that you have just asked that question, I guarantee you something's going to happen from this, because it's these tests that you have as a professional where your brain naturally goes to, maybe I shouldn't do this. Maybe I shouldn't spend time on this person. Maybe I shouldn't invest in this person. And that's like this universe testing all these entrepreneurs out there saying, no, this is a test. If you actually pass the test and continue to give, continue to see the value, or in a person where you can't expect to get something from someone, but it's having this, it might happen. I never know if it happened. It might, you could be the one. So I'm going to give you time and money and care about you and help you, because you might be the person that might be able to help me. Having that attitude ends up yielding the fruits. And so I told him, I said, because you just said this, I guarantee you something's going to happen from this. And I'm like, you absolutely, now you have to go do this interview. And lo and behold, that's exactly what happened. He did his interview. He's like, oh my goodness, Grant, I was there. And she referred me to our friend and who's buying a home. And I just got business. I can't believe. It's these examples that make a professional start to really cement the belief that every person has value. You just got to find it. You got to notice it. You got to pull it out of them. You got to ask them the right questions. You got to spend the time. You got to nurture it. And you never know how, but somehow it really can reap it. And then having that attitude is right for the real estate agent. Now, another thing you touched on is being more relational versus transactional. If you talk to an agent, I don't think any agent would be like, actually, I'm not going to say that. I know some agents, but most agents are not going to be like, I want to be transactional. They're going to say, I'm relationship-based. I'm a relation-based realtor. I'm relational. But then you look at their actions and it doesn't show that. So from your own experiences, how have you become more relational? What are the things that you started doing or stopped doing to be more relational? And what are some things that you notice in other agents that maybe you can call out to say, hey, if you're doing this, that means you're being transactional and you need to maybe do it this way to be more relational?
I think that the intent is such an important part of that. If you intend to develop a relationship, and the languaging that I use in my own head is, how can I become this person's trusted real estate advisor? When I look at it that way, I'm not looking at it from the focus is just on this transaction, and maybe a couple of years down the road, if I put them in my drip campaign, then I'll get the next transaction. It's look at it from the standpoint of, okay, what can I do? How can I provide value to this person, and hopefully in some sort of a unique way that differentiates and separates me from other real estate professionals they've dealt with in the past. But how can I provide value that is going to then nurture and develop and strengthen that relationship? A while back, I had was talking to another agent, and I was saying, "Yeah, what do you know about home improvement?" I have a client that was asking me about what they needed to do to go about putting in a pool in their backyard, and he said, "Well, why do you care about that? You know, that's not that doesn't have anything to do with you." And I was like, "No, they're asking me because they see me as their real estate advisor, and so they want they're looking for some advice there." That's that relationship and that relational piece that, and I think for me at least, that's the clearest way I've been able to differentiate between transactional versus relationship approaches.
I like that. I remember in fitness, my past career, I said there's people who hand out exercises and diet plans, and then there's people who really take on like this life coach role, because everything's got to be in sync for someone's health to improve. And the people who see beyond what happens in the gym before, during, and after the workout are the ones who actually charge more money, earn more money, have repeat referral clients, long-lasting clients, stuff like that. And same thing with real estate is your job is not just to help someone buy a home or sell a home. It's living a good quality of life in the home, improving the value of the home, preparing it, improving the life in the whole neighborhood, getting connected to the people and the products and the services. And if you take on more responsibility, I think you are more fulfilled as well. And then you also end up growing a bigger business. You talk about that in your book, earning. I love this word because it gets the mind in the right place. Earning people's business, earning their commissions. What are some things that you have done where you feel, I did these things with these clients And as a result, I earned their business. I earned their referrals. I earned my commission. That's why I got this business. And these are some examples that maybe other agents can pull from.
One of the first examples I can think of was one of my first sales was helping an older woman make a move and a transition that was beginning to move into that sort of, I'm not ready for assisted living, but this house has gotten to be too much. And sitting at her kitchen table, listening to her tell her story, um, that that was an important time and an important event for her and me. Um, did I learn more about what she was looking for in a house? No, I pretty much had all of that together, but it was about uh, not necessarily creating, but uh, deepening, maybe strengthening just a little bit that trust, that bond that said, okay, here's somebody that I can trust to walk with me on this part of my journey for a little while. Um, I think too of the clients that we have, and I think we can all probably list them fairly quickly. The ones that you're showing just about everything, it seems like, that's active to them, and they're just nitpicking and finding it. No, I just don't like this. I don't like that, and and it's just that kind of, come on, make a decision. Let's do this. And then you take a step back and you think, my God, this is probably one of the biggest decisions this person is making in their life. I need it. I owe it to them to uh, to let them take the time that they need to help them, so that when they do get to that point, there is that sense of, wow, Rob or Mary or Bill or whoever their agent is has really taken the time to earn their commission, to earn my trust, to earn this relationship.
You also talk about in the book, relationships are more important today than ever. So maybe walk people through, like, taking a step back, who you are, your career, how you got into real estate, and then how your career has evolved, and why you think relationships matter more today than ever.
Well, I spent the first 30 or so years of my career as a local church minister. And um, all of that time in kind of what people think of maybe as sort of an old fashioned sense of church. And probably a couple of hundred members, maybe, some of them much smaller than that, 50, 60 members, um, all over the country, in New England and then out here in Colorado. It was about that sense of community. These people came together week in, week out, and kind of shared a sense of community. More than that, a lot of them were in smaller towns, and so within that, there was a sense of community, a little bit broader, but still that very strong sense of community. Particularly for a lot of these folks, they'd lived there generationally. Their parents, their grandparents. Um, I had one family way back then um, who had 5 generations living in the same house. So there was just a tremendous sense of community that was there. Flash forward now to the present, I don't see that same sense of community. Um, I think that some of that has to do with people moving, as much as they move. And I moving for a real estate agent is a very good thing. So believe me, I'm not against that. It's how though they establish that sense of community. And so you see things like social media as the new form of community. Um, some of the other sort of hyper local websites as providing that sense of community. Sometimes it's real, sometimes it's maybe a little more artificial. I tend to try to find those that provide that real sense of community, that real again relationship.
Um, and so how is how you get business changed, like because of the way the world is evolving with social media, with online ads being cheap, now expensive, with all these iBuyers, with all these new tech companies. I mean, there's all these changes happening in the real estate space. Where do you think agents can still win?
Word of mouth, I think, is bigger than ever, because it's rarer than ever. You don't have that same, what I was just saying before. You can't call, hey mom, who did you guys use to buy your house? Because mom lives 1,500 miles away. Um, so and again, kind of coming back to the transactional versus relational. I think so much of the real estate market now is geared toward that sort of disposable relationship. You don't worry about that. You just there'll be somebody there. The challenge is, okay, yeah, there's somebody there, but are they any good? Are they going to be able to get you uh, the most money that you want to find the 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 buyers for you? Are they really going to put in the work, or are they just going to passively kind of, yeah, I'll stick a sign in the yard and we'll see what happens. Um, Conversely, on the other side, are they going to take the time to, again, to get to know me, to kind of figure out what it is, because I don't even know what I'm looking for in a house. Uh, Four walls and a roof would be a nice start, but what else is out there? How can I find something? And so having that sense, that trust too, that says, yeah, this person has put in the work. There's, again, that connection that you're looking for.
You talk about that in your chapter. You say the three things. I think it was education, confidence, and dedication, where
Right.
not every agent has it or has enough of it. So give people some perspective, like how long you've been in real estate for, and if someone was to, let's talk about education first. If someone was to more quickly learn how to do it, how to be a great real estate agent, how to be a really great advisor for people, what would your recommendations be for them?
Be a sponge. I joke with my grandkids, and I say, right now your brain is a sponge. No, Poppy, my brain's not a sponge. Yeah, it is. It's soaking everything in. That's awesome. That's such a wonderful, exciting time in your life. Uh, let your mind soak in um, everything that's out there, and then you'll be able to figure out, okay, what can I use? What can't I use?
And what have been some of the greatest sources that have helped you learn how to be a great real estate agent?
One, first of all, my uh, brokers. I've worked with a couple now. Um, great, great piece of advice, and it made absolutely no sense at the time, but I'll throw this out there. People judge a house. Let me see how to say it. People make their judgments on a house based on what they can see rather than what they can't see. So the broker I was working with one of the first times, he said, you know, what I find works really well is as folks are getting ready to sell their house, have them go through their closet and rearrange all their clothes by color. By, by color, that that that's like no. I'm pretty sure they're you know that's a psychological issue that they should take up with a trained professional. Uh, but no, he said no. That people will look at that and they'll say, "Wow, this closet is really neat and organized. Wow, the wiring in this house must be fantastic." Um, that they're going to make judgments on what they can't see from what they can see.
Yeah.
Um, that that in and of itself it's amazing to me now how many times I, I've heard that and seen that and come back and it's like, oh yeah, that was the house where everything was all neat and tidy. It wasn't everything; it was just the closet was neat and tidy.
That is so true. And whether you're staging your house to be sold or you're renting it out, people just take a look at some pictures, a video, and they just make assumptions around everything else. And the stuff they see, they just go, well, it all must be like this. That's really good advice. The other thing you talked about, which I think is really important in real estate, is confidence. This is one of the final things I wanted to talk about was how does one build confidence? How do you build it if you don't have it? How do you know if you don't have it? How do you make the person that you're working with feel that you are confident and competent, so they want to hire you and they don't want to fire you during the process? Confidence, we see all the time, really does make or break a person's career. And if they can figure this piece out, it really helps them grow faster. But it's this weird thing you can't quite feel, but you can't quite see, like a designation or something like that. So what's your advice for agents to build confidence in themselves?
Confidence for me, the way I think about it is it's kind of like it's sort of like out here just in your peripheral vision, and anytime you try to look at it goes away. um by that, anytime you try to say, yes, I'm very confident, people are like, oh, sure you are. um couple of things. One is knowing what you know, and that is looking at all the time and energy that you put into becoming an agent. Um, Looking back and saying, "Wow, a year ago, 6 months ago, 3 months ago, I didn't know half of the stuff that I know now. I may not use all of the stuff that I know, but I didn't know it. So I I know I know stuff. Um, that's a start. The next part is knowing what you don't know, and that's where that sort of I think confidence works best when it's mixed with a sense of humility, a sense of your own sort of humanness, your limits, and being able to say, "Gee, I don't know, but I think I know where I could find that out. Let me go see what I can find out, and I'll come back and let you know what I find." So it's coming at it that way as well, rather than that sort of false bravado of, oh, you don't need to know that, or oh, well, I think it's thus and so. No, I don't know. That's a good question. people appreciate that, and that I think leads to the third part about confidence, and it comes back to some of what we've been saying here all along, and that is building that relationship, that trust. There becomes kind of a mutual sense of confidence that goes back and forth between the agent and his or her clients. That says we're a team. We're gonna work on this together, and with that connection, then comes that sense of I don't have to prove myself to you. Um, not that I don't want to, but I don't have to because we have this connection, this trust, this relationship.
I like that. I want to prove to you, but I don't have to.
Yeah.
I want your business, but I don't need your business. That mindset right there. If people can act on that, I think will be hugely helpful.
It, it it comes back to the whole thing of divorcing yourself from the outcome. Because and I don't mean to say that you're aloof, but that if this works out, great, and you'd like to hire me, fantastic. I would love your business. Leaving it at that, there's a confidence there that's like, oh, wow, okay.
Now they're gonna, yeah, I love it. And sometimes that's all you have to do is simple words, simple phrases, and leave it at that. Because that is what a confident person would do. They would be brief, be concise, say it as it is, and then be silent and wait for the potential buyer or seller to make a move and hire you, or wait for your client to actually now make a decision. I know there's going to be a lot of people out there who are getting into real estate late in their career, who are maybe in sunny Arizona, who have been in the ministry like yourself. And for lots of reasons, when they read your chapter, they might want to reach out and connect, either to learn from you, to build a relationship with you. So how can people reach out and get in touch with you?
I'm with Asher Kime Real Estate. I'm AZ Realty by Rob on Facebook, Rob Hundley, and I'm sure there'll be plenty of other connections through the book itself. I need to plug Buy the Book; it's fantastic, and I think that's probably the best way to answer that.
Now, I was going to end with that question, which is, there's lots of books out there that real estate agents can pick up. A lot of them have to do with, how to generate leads. There's the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book, which I really do like. It's a really great book for real estate agents, but it's very tactical and how to build this really big business and team and all that stuff. What do you think is the reason why agents should pick up Becoming a Local Leader in this book, and the differences and the different information and golden nuggets they'll find in this book than they will in all the other traditional real estate business books?
When I pick up a book, and Millionaire is a great book. I agree. Typically, I'll get 3 to 5 maybe nuggets, things that is like, wow, that was really good. I'm going to write that down. I know I'm going to forget that a couple of times, but eventually it's going to stick and be important. With this book, I think you've got a fantastic chance of not 3 or 5, but 20, 40 nuggets, as each chapter is written by a different professional, coming at it from a different perspective, from their experience. I'm super excited, not just to kind of pull a Steve Martin and say, the new phone books are here. The new phone books are here. Look, my name's in a book. Nearly as much as like, what did everybody else write? Well, what's in here? It's like, oh, wow, I never thought about it like that before. There's strategy, there's tactics, there's just different ways that people come at things. You think, I've never done it that way before. That's an interesting way. I got to try that. I got to give that a shot. I got to reach out to that person, as you were just saying too, and say, hey, I'd love to talk to you a little bit more about what you did here. It sounds fascinating.
Well, I'm excited for you guys to get those calls. I hope I don't make you too busy. But agent-to-agent referrals are obviously huge in the business. So I really do hope for everyone watching and listening, if you think you can learn from Rob or you want to connect with Rob, reach out. He's a local real estate expert in Gilbert area, Arizona. And so I just want to thank you for being on the show today, Rob. And for everyone listening, subscribe to the YouTube show and the podcast. Check out the other episodes. And definitely pick up the book, Becoming a Local Leader. And until next time, value relationships. There is, as Rob says, power in relationships. You got to believe it to see it. Then you got to spend time and money on people to reap the rewards from the relationships that you have in your community, in your database. It's all there. There's gold there. So get after it, and give value first. Thanks, Rob.
Thanks, Grant.